So everybody, of course, we know Errol Jacobson, but Errol has been so instrumental in the Plein Air Painters Chicago. His workshop was incredibly important to me as a plein air painter. And it's just been a pleasure to get to know he and Stephanie. And as I mentioned earlier, that my role in this is only because of Errol and Stephanie. So I just really appreciate, first of all, Errol, what you've done for the plein air painters and making it the kind of organization that we all want to belong to.
Well, we appreciate you, Mary.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
So you know, for all of these virtual paintouts and critiques, we spend time talking about what the theme might be. Actually, I shouldn't say for all of them. At least the more recent ones, as it's gotten down to what we really want to do. And it was a lot of fun talking with Errol about how we would think about this particular paint out and critique. And I'll let Errol talk about what he's going to be talking about. But it's so wonderful to have somebody that really cares. I mean, all of our guest artists care, but having Errol just talk about what it is from his perspective about what's important to our paintings and for him as a plein air painter. So welcome, Errol, and take it away.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Mary. Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. So when Mary asked me to, sort of like figure out something I wanted to talk about, let's see, am I looking into the camera now? There's the camera. I thought about it a little bit, and I thought about, various aspects of our painting, whether it be technique and, craft, and talking about edges and values and shapes and so forth, or composition. But what I really want to talk about today, and something that I really want to start thinking about more, I do think about it, but by putting together this little talk, I've even been thinking about it more. And it's really what's it all about? Those of you who are old enough to remember the song "What's It All About, Alfie" by Deanna Warwick, released in 1966, the year I graduated high school. So this is going to be What's It All About? And then I couldn't remember what I was calling it, What's It All About? And Stephanie says, is a song, because we knew it was a song. And Stephanie says, well, is that all there is? And we had a good laugh on that one, But this is What's It All About? So I'm going to read here. I got a couple pages. I don't have it really bullet pointed, so I'm just going to read some of my thoughts. And then I'll show you a few of my paintings, and then I have something else to read you. Then we'll go ahead and look at your painting. So we should move along fairly quickly. So when we walk through an art museum, certain paintings draw us to them and hold our attention. When we look at these paintings, they bring out feelings and emotion in us as viewers. Why do certain paintings have an impact on us? Think about the paintings that have moved you and ask yourself, what is it about a particular painting or artist that captures and moves you? Is it the color, subject matter, paint application, arrangement of shapes, all of these, or many more other things? I mean, I know when I go to the Art Institute, I have my favorite paintings. I mean, I go to those paintings. I mean, I love Malay. I love that painting of the woman holding the sickle, and that's in one of the big galleries. I can look at the Mancini over and over and over and over again. I can look at the Rembrandt painting over and over and over again. Other paintings I walk by, I'm not interested in, or as interested in. So master artists who painted these paintings that we're looking at, that we really like, had a vision or a concept in mind even before they laid the brush to the canvas. They had a pretty good idea what inspired them to paint the painting, whether it be plein air or in the studio through sketches or models. Pretty good idea in the first place, and what they wanted to convey to the viewer once they did. So it wasn't just like copying a scene or taking a photograph and copying it verbatim with every piece of detail. So what are some of the things that we as artists can do to create successful and impactful paintings, other than the obvious, which is, having technical ability and developing our techniques that we're far enough along to be able to pull off what we want to try to say. Okay, so first of all, when we go out, and I'm talking kind of like about plein air painting here, but it could apply to studio painting too, or just about any kind of painting. So in particular about plein air painting, when we go out into the field, and look at a scene, you know, what I have to remember what inspired me about this scene. You know, what caught my eye? What is it about it that I really liked, and why do I want to paint it? Okay, and I would suggest, and I've heard other painters say this too, that if you're not inspired or excited about a scene or a particular view, don't paint it. I just want to use one caveat there, especially when you're just starting. There's going to be lots of times you're going to paint a scene just because you want to practice and there's something there to paint. It might not be the most, you know, inspiring thing, but, you know, go ahead and paint it. But ideally, as you move along further in your careers and on your artistic path, I think I want to be inspired, and I'm speaking for myself here. And you know, you do what you like, but I would suggest that you're excited about what you want to paint. That being said, the painting doesn't have to be this amazing grand scene. It could be a small little fire hydrant. There's someone that I'm going to critique in a little bit that just did a bottom of a tree with some shadows. Very simple. But you know, every scene inspires something different in them. I know when I've taught my plein air classes over the years, I give my demo, and then we're on a location, and then I say, okay, everybody go pick out something to paint. 10 people paint totally 10 different things. So when you're out in nature and in the world, urban or a natural setting, everybody's going to look at something else, but it's what speaks to you as an artist, as a person, and what maybe inspires you may not inspire me, but it's you know, to paint it, but it might be very interesting for the viewer to look at. So you kind of know where I'm going with this. Okay, so what am I trying to convey to the viewer? I asked myself the question, what am I trying to convey to the viewer with my painting? Is it, for example, an emotion such as tranquility, peace, calmness, joy? Or is it something like chaos, concern, loneliness, sadness, emotional qualities? Or is it just expressing, you know, the mystery and the wonder of nature and the beauty of nature? Am I trying to, like, you know, to tell the viewer, oh, this is such a beautiful warm day, and it's just, you know, or it's something spiritual, you know, it's a foggy day, weather. It could be a whole bunch of things, but you know, sort of like I like to have an idea of what I'm trying to relay to the viewer, so the viewer gets a sense of where I was in that place and what I was feeling, and hopefully they're going to feel, you know, some of the same things. So think about some of the paintings that you loved in the art museums that you visited over the years throughout the world, or in books or on the internet. And, you know, what is it about those paintings? You know, and I would suggest that, you know, you look carefully at a lot of these artists, these master artists, paintings that you really like. Think about it, you know, then maybe try to put some of that in your own work. Okay, just a little bit more here. Your painting is not a photograph, it's a painting. It's a sort of record of your feelings and a reaction to the scene. It is important to keep in mind what drew you to the scene in the first place. Was it the main focal point, like a water tower, or, you know, a bench with people sitting at a bus stop, or, you know, a particular tree, or was it the arrangement of big abstract shapes? I mean, I just did a painting. I was driving down the street. It's a plein air painting. I was looking for something to paint, and I wasn't excited, having a great day finding something that you know, really I wanted to paint. And all of a sudden, I saw this great arrangement of abstract shapes with raised L tracks and a bridge going across, trees, and I just loved the way they were put together. And that, for me, was enough to paint it. Was it the way the light was raking across the subject? You know, was it an explosion of color? Was it beauty, a mystery of nature? You know, ask yourself, how am I going to convey in my piece what drew me to it in the first place? And, you know, and how do I feel about it? And then how can I make my painting, you know, express that? Is it going to be through color? Is it going to be through edges? Is it going to be through hard edges, soft edges? You know, a million different things that you can do to convey it. But the important thing is to remember what you're trying to convey and not lose sight of that. Just the other day, I was doing this painting outside and I really was kind of like attracted to the light hitting the turret of the building. And as I was getting towards the end of the painting, I started working really in detail on another part of the building further away. And I said, wait up, stop. That's not important. I don't have to develop that part of the painting. You know, when we look at something, or we're outside and we're looking at a scene, what's in focus is a very narrow range. If I'm looking at, say, I have a conversation with Mary, and Mary's sitting right in front of me, and there's like 2 or 3 people off to each side of her, those people are not going to be in focus. So, you know, I sort of want my focal point to have all the attention, to be the hero of the painting, and, you know, not to really lose track of that. Okay. So a couple more points. Of course, we can have a wonderful concept, see the painting in our mind's eye, but you may have not developed the skills yet to paint it exactly as you see it in your mind. That's okay. Always keep your concept in your mind and keep on studying and developing your skills. For you who are more in the beginning stages, I know we have all different levels of painters here, but particularly in the beginning stages, keep painting, keep taking classes, keep studying, keep watching videos. If you can, find a mentor. That's very helpful if you can find a mentor. They don't have to be with you all the time, but it's nice to have someone review your work and maybe, you know, guide you along. No matter what level of technical proficiency you have, from a total beginner to an advanced painter, we need to keep in mind, I talked about this already, what inspired us about the scene. Why did we want to paint the scene? One more thing, over the years in my art education, and those of you know that I didn't go to art school, but I've taken classes here and there. It's kind of like a mishmash of classes, but I took a lot of classes to Pal and Chisel, but not just to Pal and Chisel, but many different classes I've taken. They've never really talked a lot about, there's a lot about technique, edges and colors, values over and over and over again, which is important, drawing, but they never really talk too much about picture making. And I think it's an important thing. And I don't think it's ever too early to start thinking about picture making and composition and in your concept for the painting. Your concept is totally different than your focal point. Your focal point could be, for instance, the water tower in Chicago, but your concept might be the fog rolling in off the lake and surrounding, enveloping the building around, you know, enveloping the focal point. So you use your focal point for your concept. I took a workshop with David Leffel years ago, back in 2005 maybe, and he's a big one for concept, and I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about because I was so involved in edges and colors and values. But, you know, sometimes we're more ready for certain things at different stages of our development as an artist than at other times. And he has a good book. You know, I would get his book, An Artist Teaches. It's a good book. Talks about concept quite a bit. Okay. Okay, and then last thing, all this being said, sometimes we may just want to paint something for practice and challenge what we see from strictly technical point of view, but I would argue it's never too early to start thinking, what's it all about? So that's my little spiel there. And I'm reading this book. I read it 40 years ago, Dear Theo, maybe some of you read it. And I pulled it out again. You can see it's old. I paid $2.95 for it. And I'm sort of in the last pages. He's in the mental hospital in St. Remy. I'm down to the last section. But I was just reading this. I just want to read you this. Let's see if I can find this. This morning I saw the country from my window, a long time before sunrise, with nothing but the morning star, which looked very big. Rousseau had done just that, expressing in their work all that the scene has of intimacy, all its vast peace and majesty, but adding as well a feeling so individual, so heartbreaking. I have no aversion to that sort of emotion. So, you know, he was even thinking of it, you know, what the artist is putting into the painting, other than just, you know, painting what's in front of them. So that's that. Let's see. So Mary asked me just to share before I go over and go over your paintings. Okay. So this is a painting that I did from a photograph. I worked for my own photographs. I did a little one of this, like a 9x12, and this is like maybe a 30x30 or something like that. And you know, with this painting, the whole thing that I was trying to do with this painting is to talk about just kind of like being, you know, being surrounded by this big city, the individual in the city. I mean, just, you know, one among many, and just, you know, how maybe alone we can feel at times, you know, when we're, you know, when we're in the city, it can be kind of impersonal, you know, with, you know, all the energy that's going on. And I thought this was a good image. I mean, I didn't think of the concept first. I saw the image and kind of made the concept together. They kind of work together sometimes. I take all my own photographs and I go thousands of photographs, and every once in a while I get lucky and find one that, you know, think will work into a good painting. And so I think this painting was successful. It was also a little bit about the, you know, warm and cool light, and that's just one. I'll just show a few more. Let's see. This is another studio piece. It's pretty big. It's 24x36. And, you know, the whole thing about this piece, it's a Paris street. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, a lot of action, a lot of energy going on, a lot of motion, people coming and going, a slice of life sort of painting. So, you know, that's what this painting was about to me. And you know, and then also it was about light and shadow too. So in my paintings, I like dealing with atmosphere. I enjoy painting atmosphere. I enjoy painting motion. And then, you know, from a psychological standpoint, I just like I enjoy painting people in the city going about their daily lives. It's just another day. You know, people coming, people going, couple coming down the street, you know, way in the background. They look like they're walking hand in hand. So you know, it doesn't tell a really succinct story, but it is a slice of life. And it's kind of a small little photograph. This is a 9x12. I just painted this a couple days ago. Obviously, it's a viaduct. I've gone past this a million times. I always like the way the light hit that first arch. So that's what inspired me to paint this painting. Nothing else. I mean, I didn't care about this, you know, the sidewalk. I didn't need people. I didn't need cars. All I cared about was the light raking across that first arch. So as I was painting this painting, I was really trying to keep in mind to make sure that light is you know, has prominence in the painting, and that the eye would go there. I think it's fairly successful. I mean, that is shadow on the lower left. I invented that shadow. It wasn't there because I wanted to break up that big ground space in the front. However, when I look at it in person, I do feel that the eye is led to that arch. You know, so I didn't develop the cars. I didn't have people and bicycles, or it's kind of like a simple, just quiet, you know, painting, and just an urban painting. So that's what I was trying to convey there. That gave you just a little bit of idea, you know, that kind of like what I'm looking at. If we have time, I can show you more. I got to open up Facebook. Okay, this is Richard's painting. Richard, are you there?
Hello, Earl. How are you?
Hey, Richard, how are you?
I'm good.
So really nice painting. Really love this painting. I'm going to talk to you guys about, I'm the viewer looking at your paintings. This painting is hanging in a museum. All your paintings are hanging in a museum or in a gallery show. And I'm going to just be looking at your paintings going through the gallery. That's pretty much how my mindset here. So I see this painting and I really like it. You know, I think this is like a, I say to myself, man, I know why the artist painted this. I get that. You know, it's a light, you know, kind of raking down underneath the awning. It was a rainy day. It was the city. I feel like the immensity of the city, kind of the power of the city, and this beautiful, large awning, which is the central feature of the painting. So I think he really, I can see why he wanted to paint it. I mean, his reasons, and I want you to think about it. I mean, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me during this Zoom. We don't have enough time. But think about why you wanted to paint the paintings and see if it coincides with what I'm saying. But it might be different. 10 people might look at this painting and see something different, But that's what I see, And this little guy kind of like peeking out, looking for looking for a bus or a cab or something like that. So great job. Can you see my mouse on here? This is good. I'll just make a few comments. I'm not going to, make this painting is very well done, very well drawn. A couple things. I'm a little confused with the awning, because here we have like a shadow side. We have the top that's a little lighter, is exposed to the sun and sky. And on this side, it looks like a double color almost. And here's like even another color, and here's another color. So I don't know if this is a shadow. Richard, I am going to ask you because I'm curious. Is this a shadow here?
Yeah, that was sort of half light. Yeah, there was a long shadow. It was almost before dusk.
Okay.
And it was just raking across this big awning.
Going this way.
Strangely enough, it just cut straight up the building. It's sort of like,
Okay. I got you. Okay. I see. So this was in shadow. I see. This is that building.
Yeah, that's in shadow.
Okay. So it was a little bit, I'm just wondering, and this is something that you could think about, if you made this whole awning in shadow right here,
mm-hmm.
and then you made this one color, because the sun's coming down here. I can see that there's a hot sun coming down.
Yeah.
And it's getting kind of like, probably the sun's like at 3 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is really heat right here. My eye wants to go right here because that's the hottest sun. I think if I was painting this, I may make this all one value, make
mm-hmm.
this a value, make this a value, and have that sun raking down here like really hot like you have it, but even intensify it. And then I would cool off these buildings a little bit. This red, I remember Scott telling me when I used to paint buildings, I make them a little too red because they're in shadow. They're not catching the sunlight. That, and by cooling that off, it's going to make that even hotter. Also, this is kind of picky-uni. I might tone down this window up here because as I look at it, it's kind of like my eye wants to go up to that window and out of the picture. I would just maybe tone down that intense blue, but it's almost as intense as these greens, just slightly, And then one last thing, my mentor Scott, used to harp on me all the time. Odd numbers, 3s, 5s, and here you have the person in the car. 2 elements. There's 2. I think maybe another person, like maybe a little guy, like right here, would, and maybe walking down this way, because this is taking us out of the picture and maybe have something taking us back into the picture. Great job, really nice.
Great stuff, Errol. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and you don't have to change a thing. By the way, guys, this is just my opinion, and take it for what it's worth. You may have completely different thoughts about it, but it's just, it's just my viewpoints. There's no rules in art. Okay, so this one here is Adriana. Are you here, Adriana? Hello. Adriana is not here. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, so there's 2 pictures here. Which one is the one?
You know what? I couldn't get a good photo. So one looks like very warm and the other one looks very cool, and the truth actually.
Okay, so I'm going to go with this one, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll talk about this one. And okay, so when I look at this picture, again, I'm in a museum. This is hanging in the Art Institute, and I'm going through the galleries. I say, wow, I really like this picture. It really draws me into it, and it's really drawing me to this tree right here. I mean, that to me is the focal point of the picture. And it's a beautiful, warm, sunny day. It's in a forest reserve or in a park. And, you know, I can hear the birds singing. So I think that, you know, I think I know what you liked about this picture. And I think I would like it too, because you're talking about shadow and light and cool and warm, all good elements in designing a picture. So I think you were very successful with that. Something you could do to make it a little, to make it maybe even better is, I have a couple things. These two trees right here, I feel this is the focal point. Now you got these two trees, I feel they're a little bit too similar. I would like you to take this tree and, like, you know, just maybe make it, send it back a little bit. Don't make it as intense as this tree. But I want this tree to be more intense. And I want to really feel the sun on it. Now the sun is coming this way. I can tell that because it looks like the shadows are down under here. Maybe the sun's coming from above. But I'm going to consider this side the shadow side, this the light side. And I like maybe the strength of the chroma to be a little warmer, you know, not so white. And by strengthening the chroma and maybe darkening this, it'll make the sky appear lighter. The other thing about this painting, all these branches are very, they're kind of going in the same direction. Now, even as artists, we can do anything we want. Even if you like that, that's fine. But I would like to see more of a variety of shapes, and maybe have this one come down, or I don't know exactly what, you know. I mean, I saw the picture, the photograph, and the branches were looking pretty much like that. So that would be something you'd have to play around with. You know, this is all fine. You know, maybe you can make this a little bit darker as you're a little down in here, as it's leading you into the painting. But that's mainly my own. Up here, these trees, it looks like there's trees here, and you got kind of like you're running along the edge of this. I would bring some of this tree into this tree, because this tree, I think, is coming in front of this tree. So maybe to give, by overlapping it, it'll send this tree back and maybe break up this strong shape. Just a little bit, you know, come over with some green leaves there. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, very nice job.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, and this is Shannon. Are you here, Shannon? Hello? Shannon. Shannon's not here. Okay. So, I really like this painting. I've looked at this painting for a long time. And when I see this painting, right away, what I got from this painting is, I mean, I got serenity, you know? And we can all use a little serenity in our lives. And I got peace, and I got calm, and just like, you know, just beautiful, like a stillness. And I think these water lilies are just painted beautifully. So I think I can see why she wanted to paint this painting. You know, I think I got what she wanted to say, or I got something from it by looking at it and thinking about it. But there are some things about this painting that I think could improve the painting. I'll just go quickly. I really like the diagonal movement of this composition. I like diagonal compositions. What I think could help this painting is I find these brush strokes up here very kind of energetic, kind of thick. I know she's kind of like, I think she's trying to like simulate the motion of the water a little bit, but I think it's a little bit overdone and kind of randomly done with not a lot of thought. And I know it's a sky hole, it's a reflection. These are trees right here, and maybe the shore up here. I think there's some water lilies up there, which aren't so important. But I would like tone down these strokes and maybe get rid of them altogether, like really smooth it out a little bit. I mean, if I cover over that, well, I don't know if we can, if you cover it over on your own monitor and just cover over those strokes and look at the painting, it looks much calmer. So I would like, that's my main comment about this is to reduce these energetic strokes and maybe come down maybe a little more vertical. And also, as these lilies, water lilies are going back, they need to go back like she did over here. Like the value would get a little bit lighter and lighter because for atmospheric perspective. But overall, it's a very nice little painting. Okay.
Errol, you have
Ooh.
23 paintings left, and
Okay,
you
how
have
long?
about 75 minutes.
Okay, I'll
So
try to
that's
make it
about
quick.
a little less than around 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna go
And
quick.
we probably want a 5-minute break around 10 o'clock.
Okay, I'll try to go quick. Okay, this is Kuhn's painting. That was his reference. And again, I see what he's trying to talk about here. It's a sunny day, people laying on a blanket. He's telling the little story here. I think it's, I think, I get, why he painted it. I understand what he's talking about. I thought about this painting quite a bit, and there were some things at first that I thought I wanted to change around. Like I wasn't sure if I liked this tree coming right through this boat. But the more I thought about it, I kind of like the tree there. The only thing I would do on this painting, I know Kuhn's not here, is...
I'm here.
Oh, you here?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I thought you were gone. Okay, hi, Kuhn. I think it's a great little painting. What I would do with this tree, I see you have this shadow, I assume is coming off this tree. I would not... Sorry?
The other tree.
Yeah. Oh, the other tree.
Yeah.
The sun's coming this way. The
Yeah,
sun's
correct.
coming from the right.
Right.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, if that's the case, okay, that's fine. Still, the shadow breaks right at the blanket. It kind of like moves around the blanket. Where the shadow, I like to see the shadow, some of these edges that's so hard and lost, and come over the blanket a little bit,
Okay.
and maybe you can even run a little bit of the shadow up one of the person, and maybe maybe hit his bottom, something like that,
Okay.
But nice job. And one more thing, you see this right here, how this kind of like wraps around this tent back here. Try to avoid that. You're creating a tangent. Either take it above it so you see the
Right.
side, or maybe take it below it so you see the
Right.
top and bottom of it, but don't follow it,
Right.
And these are all kind of like following the same direction. So be careful of like repetition like that. But nice job. Okay,
Thank
I'm going to keep on moving along here.
Appreciate it.
Okay, this is a sketch of Mario, and I don't know if Muriel's here, but nice job, City Alley.
I'm here.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, I don't know what you're planning on doing with this, but it has a lot of potential. It's nice just the way it is. Again, I get the sense of being in the city, an urban environment. I feel the mood, I feel the atmosphere, I feel the kind of day it is. It's a sunny day, it's a little bit hazy. So I think it's good. Just a couple things about this, and I know you're get more to do on it, but your light is coming this way. It's coming like this. And what I would say is like these telephone poles. I looked at your photograph. They're probably darker. This is probably darker. This is maybe a little bit darker, and this may be just a slightly darker. That can be okay as it is. So you feel that progression walking down the alley. And maybe this side here is not going to be so intense a color, so warm. Because if the sun's coming this way, this is kind of bright. So I want to feel like I'm walking out of shadow into light. So this is all about walking into the light, which could be a spiritual metaphor, a spiritual painting. One other thing is I'd like to see something at the end, a little something to walk to, a reward for going down the alley. It doesn't have to be rendered out. It could be just a couple people. It could be a little car. It could be anything. And then be careful here, right over here, that this kind of looks like, I know you got more to do in this, have that building edge over here. But good job. And watch your edges. The edges get softer as they go back.
Yes, yes.
Okay, nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, moving along. Okay. Yeah, this is Julie, and I like this painting. Nice job, Julie. I looked at this painting quite a bit, and she had the photograph too. I don't know. It's here someplace. Let's see. Well, I'm not sure it was, but I did see the photograph. So I knew what she was looking. Sorry.
It's in the comments next to the picture.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, anyways, I knew right away, and for me, this painting is all about that horizontal log laying on the ground. And in the photograph, it's really obvious that it's the log that I think attracted you to it and what you were trying to express. And again, I think it's just a nice, forest scene, a nature scene, and it's it's nicely done. I'm not a watercolorist, but a lot of the same principles in watercolor apply to all the different mediums. What I would say to improve this painting, just a couple quick comments. I'd like to see these trees a little darker, just to offset, because the sun's coming this way. It's coming from behind. These trees are backlit, and I would like to see them a little bit darker. I know they're a lot darker in the photograph. And then also on this log, I'd like to see this down tree have more form to it to make it more prominent, and make it a little bit darker on the bottom down here. Give it form where, it's darker, a little lighter, and then maybe the lightest and hottest up there. Also, you can bring a couple things in front of that tree, like some little twigs and branches and some things growing off of it to give it some interest. One of the things that makes this painting interesting is you've got this horizontal shape, and then you have all the verticals going this way. So it really like stands out. And that's why our eye is drawn to the similarity of that object. Also, watch this rolled back here. I think it's a rolled. I don't know if you really need that. To me, it kind of like takes me out of the picture. I want to keep my eye towards here. I did play around with some cropping of this picture. You might want to take a piece of cardboard and maybe crop it a little closer, so you can play around with that. Okay, nice job. Okay, moving ahead. Okay, so this scene, beautiful sunny day down at the harbor. I could just like picture myself sitting here, my feet in the water, having lunch, bag lunch. And, it's just nice and, nice. It's a happy painting. It's a real happy painting. The colors are happy. They're nice and bright. They're strong. Sue, I think you like color, and I would say you're a colorist, at least in this painting. And I get a sense of joy from this painting. So, if that was your intent, then for me, it was successful. A couple things that I would do in this painting, just very quickly. I know this roof in the picture goes back this way. I would probably take it straight up, because it's hard without seeing the rest of the building. See, when you see the rest of the building, you can see where it goes. But when you just see the painting, you can't. Or I would take it up like this on an angle. So to give me, instead of this vertical line, give me some variety. Remember, variety is the spice of life and the spice of artists. We want to have as much variety in our paintings as possible. Strokes, colors, shapes, etc. Okay, so that being said, the only thing other than that is maybe I would take some bolt here, one of these bolts, and I think like this bolt here, render it out a little bit more and really pop. I'm looking at this on a computer monitor, so in person it might look totally different, but really pump up the temperature of those colors to give it some more heat, even though it's white. We want it to be more hot. So it would be a good place for you to work with heating up your whites. Also, these trees look to me like you just took your brush and you just kind of, this is good right here and this is good right here. Be careful of just running your brush along, and then be careful of falling off the edge. Have the tree come down like this, because this brings me out of the painting. We want to keep the viewer in the painting. Same thing here a little bit. Maybe have this come down up a little bit. And these trees could get a little bit lighter, just slightly, just a little bit lighter. But overall, really, really pretty painting. Okay. Next. Okay, this
Thank
painting.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. And this painting, Stefan, beautiful painting. When I looked at this painting, I felt like I was it was sort of I almost felt like I was looking at a Roman aqueduct or something like that. And it's the man-made against the natural. It's like man invading on nature. And so everything's organic, but then you have that man-made structure there. So in all the organic shapes, and then those hard edges, it's a man-made structure. So I really like this painting, and I know where you want me to look. Also, one thing I like about this painting, I kind of like going through here, coming back either through here or here. I come down here, I keep going round and round and round and round. And that's good, because it's going to keep my interest in the painting. Now, just a couple technical things here, Stefan. It's a hot day. I'm pretty sure you paint this as a warm day.
Yeah.
Warm, when you have a warm day, you're going to have cool shadows. This red is way too warm. Tone these down, make them a cooler color. Make it a bluish, purple, play around with different colors. But it definitely has to be cooler. It's way too hot. I would also make the sand a more sandy color. I think it would help a little bit, and a little more heat on it. Also, this horizon line, be careful. Here it's this height, here it's down to this height. Maybe it's even lower here. So horizon, we want it the same level. But good job. I like it.
Thank you, Errol.
Very nice. Yep, good job. Keep up the good work. Okay, Mary. All right. So when I looked at this painting, I knew exactly what the focal point was. I saw the photograph too, but the focal point is this tree, which I think is just great. And I like how she has it off to the left. And it's kind of like the steel yard composition rule. Yeah. But I want to just say a couple things about this painting, Mary. Is I think that I see why you wanted to paint this painting. And that tree was very, very cool in the photograph, and you wanted to give it prominence. And so I get why you wanted to paint it. I think what you could have done to possibly make this a better painting is I'd like to see a little separation, have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Let me show the photograph. There you can see the photograph. So she decided to crop it, which is fine. She's got it like right up to here. So those trees are pretty close to the. Where's the painting? Okay, here we are. So what I would do is I would bring some of this foreground, have the tree in the foreground, bring some of this foreground behind the tree, which would pop the tree. Then have a middle ground, a little bit darker, but still light, not as light as this, not as dark as that. Have a middle ground behind the tree. It's still going to pop the tree, and then have the darker background. And then I pay a little more attention to the shape of the tree, because this trunk looks like, I know it's split here, but it's hard to tell. Maybe that's because this is a little dark, and maybe this needs just to go out a little more defined on your edges. I think that's it, because it looks like it's just going straight up as one big trunk. So I think if you mass in the tree and try to get maybe a little more mass in there, and then break it up, I think that would be helpful. Also, I think for my way of looking at it, I like this tree line, like in the photograph that's right here. I would make this sky right here. And maybe you could bring this tree line just a little bit closer, because this is kind of like leading me off, and like I'm falling off the painting. The painting's tipping on me. So I think that if you made this sky and then have this tree back here, maybe a taller tree slightly above the skyline, that would be good. But I think, let me look at the picture here one more time. When I go back to the picture, you get this beautiful shape of this tree. And you see how all these different, when you paint a tree, think about painting a figure. You're painting really a figure, and, with all the rhythm and all the arms and the legs, and the trunk, and the body. And so I would try to get a sense of that mass. And then you can cut in with the lights where you want to cut in. Okay, but nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Charlotte's. Charlotte, I think you got a successful painting here. I like this little painting. So when I look at this painting, and I know Charlotte lives in Florida, I think even if I knew she didn't live in Florida, I can feel Florida in this painting. I can taste the salt water. I can feel the air. I can smell the sea. I just feel like I'm in kind of I just feel the day. And she did a really good job with that, and did a really good job with the drawing and the temperature, and she kept it loose. and really nice job in the clouds. You know, I don't think you really need to do a thing to this painting. Something you might want to think about, I can show you there. So this boat is in dry dock, and then there's this boathouse here. I notice this boat I think is in water now, which I like. I like it being in water, and you have it part on land. I'd keep it in water, I think, or I guess it's fine even part on land. But this boathouse, I might render like you did this right here. Maybe try rendering very simply a few edges there. Maybe stick a boat in there, like not the same boat, but maybe a little rowboat, maybe a different color, and maybe a boat coming down, sailing down, very small, you know, down here. What that would do is the eye would lead around here, and this boat would bring me back here, be over here. I'd stay in the picture. Here I'm kind of being led out of the picture. It's just something you might want to think about. You could try it on a sketch if you want, but those are my thoughts. Nice job.
Thank you. Good point.
Okay. Love this abstract value sketch. It's so cool. And then this is Karen's reference photo, and then this is her painting. So here she took the reference photo and she made it. I really like she took it and, you know, made it into a, you know, a different kind of scene. So when I looked at this painting, I mean, this is a sweet little painting. It's about family, it's about unity, it's about love, friendship, you know, togetherness. It's got a lot of positive things going on. And so, you know, I think it's, you know, it's a beautiful painting. So I get what she was, you know, walking out of the garden or into the garden. Looks like they're walking out of the garden because this looks like a sign there. What I would do with this painting, just a couple things, not too much. I know it's watercolor. I think this can be done because you go from lighter to darker in watercolor, I think. Okay, so the shadows are coming this way. So the direction of the sunlight. I know in the pictures, I'd like to see this a little darker. In the photograph, I know photographs lie, the darks look too dark and the lights look too light. But still there's some pretty good contrast there. And I don't quite feel that, just a little bit lighter, darker, and maybe even here, this is okay, but mostly here. And then the sun's raking kind of low. It's like a 3 o'clock sun, I think, or 4 o'clock sun. So I don't think these would be lit up. I don't think it's reflected light. So what I'd like to see, I want to like keep my eye right here. So the way you have like this in shadow, I would put all this in shadow, you know, just completely. And then maybe you want to, you know, and then maybe tone this down here too. So we're sacrificing everything to keep our eye right on our focal point. And when you have people a lot of times like this, that is the focal point. That's where I'm gonna look anyways. One more thing, watch this tangent. This is coming vertical. It's kind of like lining up with the edge of this. Either have it a little bit before, maybe a little bit afterwards. Just be careful it's not lining up perfectly. Beautiful little painting. Thank you. Okay, Steve. Nice job, Steve. Yeah, I love this painting. You know, Steve's a master painter and just masterful with especially with his greens. I just always admire his greens. I wish I could paint greens like that. You know, I get what's going on here. He's on the bank. I know that scene in Cedarburg.
Yeah.
You know, this painting is about nature. This is a nature painting. The lead character is nature. The secondary character is the bridge. And it's also about the man-made against the natural structure. So we have the beautiful natural. There's no straight edges in nature. But there's hard manufacture edges. So we got to think about what we're painting also with our edge work. And like all this work down here is just so sweet, you know, with these little leaves coming out and everything. So I think this is a successful painting. You know, and I feel the same. If I have one thing to say about this painting, is the only thing that bothers me a little bit is I'd like to see these edges of this bridge where it kind of comes like this.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it more straight. That's all.
Okay.
here and then here. This I feel is fine. This is good. That's good. But this kind of comes down a little bit. You know, kind of like, yeah, it comes here, then it goes down. So that would be my only comment. You could even maybe have a bit of that edge popping through the tree, possibly, if you want to. I mean, just a fraction. But other than that, great job.
I was struggling with that stump, that cut stump at the base of the tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. I didn't know what that was. So down here you're talking about.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah, because that, yeah. You know, I was going to talk to you about that, you know, and I wasn't sure what it was. I thought maybe it was like a cantaloupe or something. I wasn't sure. So maybe all that needs is a, maybe it's not such an intense color, possibly.
Tone it down.
Yeah, maybe tone it down and put a little bit of, you know, sky color in there or something, you know.
Because I do have the next scene. I have the photo of it, and it's and it was just.
It's bright.
A cut stump of a willow tree branch, and.
Well, here's the thing, you know. You bring up an interesting point. Is that stump really necessary?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know, is it, because where my eye is going on this painting is here.
Yeah.
This is where the action is in this painting for me.
Okay.
You know, this is the action. So, I mean, I think that maybe even this, you know, by putting this intense color here, my eye is going to go more over here.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if you can play around with it, cover it over, you know.
Yeah.
Or put a piece of acetate on it and paint it like a different color, or paint it out and see what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might not even need it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Thanks.
But that's something that I'm glad you brought that up. That's something we can all do. Is it what we're painting really necessary for our painting? Is what we're going to put in either improve our painting or not help it?
Yeah.
Okay, nice job, Steve.
Thanks, Errol.
Okay, Cedarburg, man, okay. I love this photograph, and great value sketch. I think that's all we got on this is the value sketch.
Yeah, I'm afraid work got away from me this week.
Okay, so I think this is
I am going to
great.
paint it. But,
Yeah, no problem. You know, so first of all, you guys know I love painting urban scenes, and so this is like, you know, right in my wheelhouse. And I just love this, and it's about, you know, it's about the city, it's about the backyards of the city, it's about, you know, the working city, the city of big shoulders. To me, this is about, you know, the trains bringing building material in to build these big cities. You can tell a whole story here, you know, and how you crop it, and how you and what you de-emphasize and what you emphasize is going to make the painting. I was playing around with some croppings. For me, this is only for me, I would probably crop out. I wouldn't paint all these buildings. I would kind of crop it like right in here, make it more of a this kind of shape, you know,
okay.
and then really work on these cars, and even maybe put a crane back here, like a building crane, you know, just like an or a couple building cranes. It'd be about building Chicago, you know, and so that, you know, this is perfect. What do we think about when we see the scene? We know, I can see why you were attracted to the scene. You know, the abstract shapes, the leading in lines, the shadows. That's what I would be attracted to. But now, what do you want to say with your painting? And then she has the value sketch here, which I think is great, with, you know, where the sunlight's coming from, and the light and the midtones, and you know, and that's all great. What I don't see in this value sketch, and I don't think you really put them in value sketches, what's the painting about? What's it all about? You know, so in addition to doing all this, what is that painting all about to you? What am I trying to say? You know, and that's what we're talking about here today. This painting looks, thank you very much, by the way. This painting is by Linda Brown. And so this is the painting. This is the reference. Love this painting. I looked at this painting and it just looks like it belongs in the Museum d'Orsay. It's a beautiful, impressionistic, very delightful picture to look at, sort of Van Goghish. Linda definitely took artistic liberties and she created the vase for the flowers, and didn't put it in the setting that it's in, which is all good. Let me get back here. So really nothing needs to be done to this painting because this is what she wanted to paint. I think you can leave it just the way it is. I'll give you a couple thoughts. If you want to do something, maybe on another painting, you can paint it again. Maybe think about turning the form a little bit. So if the light's coming this way, as it goes around, it gets darker, darker with a little reflected light. And as there's cast shadows coming down this way, it might be a little bit darker at the base. Maybe the cast, I don't know if this is a wall back here or not. If it is a wall, you can bring it up a little bit possibly. Maybe you could try around smoothing this texture, smoothing this out, keeping the texture in the flowers. But I like it just the way it is, so I don't think you need to do a thing. I think it's great.
Thank you so much. I struggled with where the edge of the base, the table should be. Should I soften it and disappear it, or change?
Well, okay. If it's, I didn't realize it was a table. And you have a ground plane, you have that vertical plane.
Right.
So behind the table, all that blue, what is that? Is that a wall?
I don't really know. I kind of made it up, but didn't know what to do with the background. So I'd love any suggestions.
Well, I don't think you need to do a thing personally.
Okay.
I wouldn't do a thing because I just think all that energy and those brush strokes and the energy of the flowers, and I like it just the way it is. It's a high key painting, and I would paint it again.
Okay.
Paint the painting again, and maybe on this next painting, if it's a table, it's going to have a harder edge.
Right.
Okay, it's going to have an edge. It's going to drop down, and then maybe you'll want to have it's a table. All right, is the table up against the wall? Then the wall, this is going to be kind of flat. Maybe you're going to have an edge of the table, maybe some detail of the table, and so you could do that. And then maybe the wall is going to be more flat. It wouldn't have all that energy in it. This has more of an atmosphere quality to it, outside. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so Robin, I love this little painting, and I feel like I'm at the beach. I mean, this is a sunny, nice summer day. I'm up top. I'm walking down to the beach. I can feel the heat. I can feel the sun. I can smell the air, and this is what we want to see in this kind of scene. So very good. Just a couple quick things about this painting that might help. Watch 2 trees, 2 trees. Try to keep uneven, right? 3 people, 3 lifeguard stands. I would say take out this lifeguard stand right here. 2 lifeguard stands. Add another tree right here. Maybe coming off here possibly, or group 2 together, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing I think I'd like to see in this painting, these are steps going down here, I assume, going down to the beach. I'd like to see a few of these steps rendered out a little better. Not a lot, but just because they're closer to us, by rendering these out, these are going to look even further away. Because as things get further away, they get softer, they get blurrier. And even with the water up here, you could chill out these waves just a little bit, possibly, and get this water going a little lighter back there. And and other than that, really nice job. Good job, Robin.
Okay, thank you.
Love it. Okay, this painting, I love this painting. I looked at this painting and go, okay, what is this painting about? How does this speak to me? That looks like a Jaguar to me, which is an expensive car. And it looks like it's parked in a shed, I don't know, this might be your house, Ann, I'm not sure, but to me, it kind of looks like a farmhouse or a shed. And it's okay, what's going on here? And it's like the contrast of the newer, more expensive with the more, rustic, and more modernization against, more, of days gone by. So I really like the composition. I really like the way you broke up the space. I really like the way you broke the shadow in here. You broke up that space. You guys can invent shadows if you want, but to create your composition. Now, my main thing about this is the car a lot. I feel the car, I would make this all dark under here. You see how you have this little light here? Chill out those wheels. Try making it all dark and just popping some very light value, not that light, just a couple little strokes. And this car is like smushed in. It looks like this is fine on this side. I get this. But this side, it's all, okay, where'd my mouse go? Okay, my mouse is
Trees and right to go on.
1 second. Oh, shoot, sorry. Anyways, I just think this car, go back to your reference photo, paint this car. It'll be a good exercise for you. Or draw this car in pencil a bunch of times and try to get it looking exactly like it is in the photograph. Take a piece of tracing paper, trace the car off the photograph, and then take the dimensions and draw the car without the, without the tracing paper. Then draw the car to the best of your ability from the photograph. Then put the tracing paper over it and see where it is. I think this window goes over too much like this. This is probably going to go like this. So it kind of looks like it's leaning. So that would be, but otherwise, this part looks really good. Love the light coming across here. My eye is definitely staying within the picture. Watch these edges on these trees, like this connection and this connection. You want to like break up those edges a little bit. Have some strokes going this way and this way. Soften them up. Something you can use for painting on these edges is take like a bristle brush, like you clean your sink with, and do some scrapes across that. I learned that from somebody, and not even necessarily a brush, or use like a hairbrush even, or something. Something to give you a tool. We can use different tools to create different edges. Okay, and nice job. Okay.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Love it. Okay. And Christine, I love this painting. This painting is a very spiritual painting to me. I mean, it's got a sense of spirituality and calmness and tranquility. So I can see why you wanted to paint this painting, and you're giving me, I that's what I get from the painting. Whether that's what your intention was, I don't know, but that's what I'm feeling from the painting. I don't think I'd change anything about this painting. I think everything, all this back here, as this gets like stronger, less strong, less strong, less strong, less strong. I don't really need to know. I guess those are trees back there. I don't really need to know. I guess they are. Love the way these flowers are handled down here very loosely. Great the way the water is coming down. I mean, I thought maybe the only thing I thought is maybe some water could be coming, a few drops coming over here, but I'm not really sure. I mean, I think that's getting really picky. I would just leave it the way it is. Yeah, great job.
Errol?
Yeah.
I think we're getting requests for a break. Could we do 5 minutes?
Oh, 5 minutes, absolutely. Okay, I'll be back at 10:13. How are we doing on time, Mary? Okay?
Yeah, I think you're doing pretty well. I think you have 9 left. We can take any questions or whatever.
Yeah, we can take a few questions. That'd be great, Yeah.
At the end, if people can start putting them in, and then I will. They can put them into the chat, and I will moderate them.
All right.
Yeah, these are very helpful comments that you're making.
I hope people, I hope people find them helpful. It's helping me.
Well, Errol, there's lots of notes thanking you here in the chat.
Sorry? What?
There are many notes thanking you here in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, by doing this, it helps me think about what I want to paint too, because I can't say I always think about it. I've thought about it more recently, but when I was first starting, I never thought, all I wanted to do was get something that looked like something,
Yeah.
And I think it's good to start. It's never too early to start thinking about composition and why you're painting a scene, what you're trying to say. I don't think it's like, okay, you learn all your technique, you learn all your values, you're drawing. Okay, now we're going to learn like how to make a picture. Why are you painting what you're painting? You know.
You know, just from a bent for myself, maybe it's a spiritual bent or something, but I have to find meaning somehow.
Yeah, well, that's
So,
good.
You know,
and I think as artists, we have to either be excited or, like you say, have something for meaning. It's, in some way, we have to be inspired to paint that painting. Now, I hear that Sargent used to go out. You know the story. That he used to go out and walk out of his house, didn't know what to paint, threw a coin over his shoulder, wherever the coin landed, turned around and painted that. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not, you know. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of things to paint in every scene. You just have to find what you want.
Well, I also like Don Yang's thought that you only get, 15 minutes. So,
Chop.
Yeah.
No, I want
Somewhere in
17
between.
minutes. Don't ticket me.
All right, Errol, we're back on. So
Okay, we're back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna highlight you.
Okay. Okay, so we're on to the next one. This is Sue's, and I'm going to show the photograph of this. She said to her, that's so beautiful. This is from Cambodia, and what a beautiful photograph, and so I can see, why you'd want to paint this. Having said that, I'd look at this and say, well, this is a challenge, so a drawing challenge. And here's her painting, and I think she did an admirable job in painting it. I feel this painting, I'm looking at a cultural statement. I mean, this is out of my realm. This isn't the Chicago River. You don't see boats like this. So, I know that I'm in another country. Just by the look of it, even without knowing where it's from, I know this is in the Far East someplace. So, and it's just like a slice of life of what goes on in those villages. So I think it's great. A couple things with this painting to make it stronger. First of all, keep in mind that I'm looking at it in the picture as being a hot day. So when you get into all these reds, and the sun's coming this way, the shadow's over here. So this is going to be reflected light. I think, first of all, we need to, underneath the canopies, we've got to cool it off. Make those like a cooler color. Temperature. Also, I would send these buildings back a little bit. I really like what you did with all these strokes right there. But in the picture, you can see that I think you kind of to my mind, maybe you wanted to, was your intention to overstate the red, but I think it kind of overtook the picture a little bit. So what I would do going forward here, I would really start really developing the colors in these canopies, and really building up the chroma and the values, and make it more like this, more of an orange, more of a green. This is reflecting the sky in blue, this is shadow under here. There's a little shadow here with reflected light, so I would paint, and this is the sky is the lightest always in a picture 9 out of 10 times. The water is going to be the next lightest. The vertical parts are going to be the next darkest. Of course, and the shadows are dark. So keep those, where's that painting at? Keep those in mind, and not to get over, I think it just seems like there's too much red in the painting to me. I think if you kind of like work on reducing the red a little bit, that's gonna help. And maybe get the sky even lighter, make this the next lightest, and then these would be darker, and send them back a little bit. And there's a few little drawing issues, but I mean, overall, you did a really nice job,
Yeah, thanks, Errol.
Yeah, and I think this is worth. I don't know if you plan on working on it more.
Yeah, this
but
was I did this last week, and
okay, yeah, I would keep on working on it, because it has a lot. I mean, especially if you can capture. I mean, I would really try to capture this water. I mean, I just love the color of this water. These dusty colors, this kind of dusty, sunlit, airy. It's very atmospheric. And as it goes back, it gets a little less, a little less intense, a little bluer, and then fades into the background. You really don't see that. So I just think the lesson from this is be careful on.
I just saw so much green. I wanted to offset that, and I think I went overboard with the red.
Yeah, and also when you do red and green together, it can really be too strong, because
Right.
you get complementary. The green's going to make the red stronger, So, anyways, yeah, I would maybe do some color notes where you want in certain places, and maybe, maybe you can put a piece of plastic saran wrap or something over it and paint on it and do some color notes to see how you want to, do things. I don't think you have to change too much, but a few things here and there.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
good job. Nice one. Okay, yes. Buckingham Fountain. Okay, Andrea. Beautiful painting, a nocturne. I know she said in here that she wanted to show the spray coming off the fountain, and you did. I mean, I feel the energy of the fountain. I know that fountain very well. You caught it right when it's exploding, and it's just it's beautiful. So that being said, I get what you were going after. And I know what the painting's about. I think there's a couple things that could be done that could strengthen the painting. One thing is we want this to be the hero. We want the plume to be the hero. I'm getting confliction from this, the lights in this building and the lights in this building, lights on these buildings. I know this is watercolor. I think you can easily knock down the value of these possibly, of these lights. You can still have them light, but not as light as these right here. So kind of like, bring those down, more like you have back here, send them back a little bit. Also be careful on, I really like the way you did this building. I like this building. This building is kind of like falling over, maybe perspective. Maybe you don't even need that much detail, like just a suggestion of these ridges. I think you detailed this building out maybe a little bit too much. It's competing with my attention for this. So I would send this back and tone this down. I would even, yeah. And maybe make this edges straight, and maybe not come down quite as much like this. It's coming down a little bit too fast. And maybe work on the shape up here a little bit. But all this is beautiful. One more thing is I think you could bring some color into like these greens. I know there's a lot of greens and rust colors in this concrete. Maybe try putting a few of those little notes in there someplace if you can. But otherwise, great job. Really nice. Okay, Maureen. I love this painting. This has got a very what's it all about? What is this painting about? And it's kind of like a David Hockney painting, with the swimming pools, in the 1950s houses. I mean, this is like set obviously at some type of grand mansion, or it looks like it's in France or something. Where is it at?
It's an Irish pond.
An Irish pond. Okay.
Yeah, can you imagine Ireland? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just beautiful, and I just love the way. I don't know what's back here. I don't know where these steps are going. I don't really need to know. As a viewer, I can use my own imagination. It's a very romantic painting. It has a romantic feeling to it, the way the colors are and everything. I think you did a great job. The reflections in the water are perfect. So I don't know where you want to go with it, but I don't think you really need to go anywhere personally. I just kind of like it for what it is. And then my only suggestion is, it's very minor, is possibly these edges on these reflections could be a little bit softer somehow. I mean, that's a very strong shape. I don't know. They might be just fine too. Maybe this right here, possibly. But very, very small little things, you know. Maybe this shape right here, it's kind of like, it goes around. Maybe have it more organic, like you have these shapes, like the way you did this, and this, and this. This one's got kind of like a harder edge right there. But just fine.
Okay, good. I was worried about
All the what?
pull it over all the way across the page also. I don't know, or maybe I should add a lot of highlights and maybe put snow on there or something. But it doesn't bother you?
No, with this you're talking about?
Yeah, make that darker like the rest of it, or
No, no, I think you ought to keep it just the way it is.
Oh.
I think everything's perfect because I'm leading right to the steps. And that's where my eyes, everything's leading me to the steps. And that's where I want to go. I want to go up those steps. And I want to see what's on the other side. So
Okay,
great
good.
job.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Okay. And okay, this is Lori's painting. Yeah. I love this painting. Hey, Lori. Yeah, I think this is a great painting. This is a real painting of strength and of solidity and you know, a solid standing, you know, piece of almost like a sculpture to it. And it's backlit, so it really even stands out more. I love backlit paintings. So I think he did a beautiful job on this. I think it's painted really nicely. Nice application of paint, nice colors. Really love the water. I mean, I really get the sense that water is just flowing off the fountain and going up. I mean, I fully get what you're saying here. You know, it's a summer day and it's in the park, and I feel like I'm in that park, so I'm all good. That being said, a couple things that I think could help. I know the sunlight's coming from here. As the sun's coming from here, these buildings are in shadow. Now, you made a decision to well, I don't know. I'm just going to tell you my perspective on it.
Yeah, I think they're too light. Yeah.
I would put these buildings in shadow. I would significantly tone them down. I would almost have them this color right here, you know, something like that, darker than the sky. So they're silhouetted against the sky. Oh, small picture. You see how that building's silhouetted against the sky?
Yeah.
And so sky's the lightest. The ground's going to be the next lightest. The trees are going to be the darkest, and in most cases. So I would do that, you know, backlit that building. And then I would put another building right here. Maybe have a building coming off of here, boom, and then maybe one over here, all backlit. If you want to put a little rim light, that's fine too. Maybe vary your edge. You just kind of have this kind of smooshy right here. I would kind of like make this an edge, not a hard edge. You can make it lost, found, same thing here, lost, found, you know. And then watch your brush strokes. Like you took this brush stroke and you went, I see how you followed the tree line. Vary your brush strokes. We want to keep variety in our strokes. I like what you did here, you know, or like here. This is all good, but this is like just a little bit too solid and too straight. One more thing is on the fountain, the actual photograph. I kind of like the way the light wraps around it here, and you have the light wrapping around, but I'm not sure what that is. That might be another shadow. Yeah, and you know what? It's fun. I'm being real picky here. I mean, you could have that light wrapping around the bottom, but I do that kind of like that. And then this is maybe can be defined a little bit better. Just a little drawing in the photograph. I see it. Like you see how this kind of like I can see it's like another level in there. I'm not quite seeing it in the picture, but
that's very unfinished there, I think.
Yeah, right there. I think because it's part of our focal point, I think, Lori, if you just finish this part a little bit better, I don't think you have to do anything up here. Just a little simple something here, you know. But great job. It's got a really nice feel.
Errol, could I ask you a question? The flowers, the plantings that are on the left, should I define those more or keep them abstract? I kind of like them abstract.
I like them just the way they are for my taste, you know. I mean, I want to look at the fountain, you know. And if you look at the painting, and for everybody, that's a good question because, okay, how much is it going to help my painting? Is it going to hinder my painting? I mean, I think if she gets off and starts painting those flowers, you know, there's enough information there for me to know that that's a park. You know, I get it. It's green space. There's a fountain there. I mean, you don't find a fountain like that in a junkyard, you know, or a, you know, I mean, I know this is in a park, you know, especially surrounded by trees. Possibly you could go maybe make a, bring this edge back here a little bit more, maybe slightly, you know, lighter, maybe, you know, work on some of that. And maybe have this go a little bit darker back there so this tree looks like it's in front of this back here, you know what I mean? So you kind of get some depth going back there. And, but other than that, you know, not too much else, you know.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And the shadows don't need any blue, right?
The shadows look, well, underneath this, you know, cast shadow, that would be getting reflected light off of this, you know, here. So the blue, the sky color might influence the shadows over here a little bit, you know. But I'd have to be on the scene right there. But I don't think so. I think it looks good.
Great. Thanks so much. Great,
okay,
great critique.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Fabiola, nice painting. Love paintings of bridges. I think this is by Lawrence Fisheries, right? I think. I don't know if Fabiola was here, but I think I painted.
It's right there. It's a
is
novel.
Is that Lawrence Fisheries?
Yeah, it is.
You can't put it past me. I know where you were.
Yeah.
I know where you were. Nice painting, you know, and nice composition. I mean, nice foreground, middle ground, background. The painting's about the bridge. I feel like I'm in the city. I feel like I'm in, you know, back of the yards. It's got a nice urban feel to it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, nature in the city. Very nice. The only thing I would do with this, a couple things, I'd be careful with this line here, your focal point. It's kind of like, unless the bridge, I'd have to see the actual bridge. I mean, maybe it does go like that. There's not too much I would do here. Maybe possibly darken this a little bit down here, but not too much.
Okay.
I think it's just fine, you know. Oh, I see one thing I would definitely change. This and this all line up. That's a tangent. And I think that unless that's a shadow of the bridge coming down. Now that's something you'd have to make your choice. Does that shadow help the picture or does it not help the picture? Would it be better to have that all one solid dark leading you down? You know? That's something you're going to have to think about, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
I would argue that maybe it should be all dark, possibly. And then I would put a little building coming up above this bridge right here, or right here someplace. Not, so, you know, short, because this is the tallest building, you know? But something, you know, maybe just to break up this space a little bit. You know
I
what
see.
mean? Yeah, just slightly. That's a big space. Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Love it, love it. Okay. This painting, I really like this painting. Susan, great job. I'm going to show you the photograph. Here's the photograph. I mean, that's a nice photograph. It's got like this goose. I don't know what that is. Pheasant. I'm not sure. But anyway, I thought it was a turkey at first. But I love the photograph. I can see what attracted her to the scene. You know, the water, the trees. You know, that tree on the left is so interesting, and the animal there, and you know, it's got a lot of interesting elements. When she painted it, so the painting is, you know, is beautiful. You know, it's a impressionistic scene. You know, she didn't paint the reality of the scene. She didn't render it out exactly like it was, but she painted her impression of it and her feelings about the scene. And there's a lot of movement in the tree. you know, the pheasant or whatever it is there, that little bird is you know, so, you know, delicately painted. And so I like all the energy. I like the colors. I like the abstraction of it. And again, this could be in the Museum d'Orsay. It looks like it came right out of the French Impressionists. Now, that being said, just a few things. I think you could add a few darks maybe here and there, and maybe just a little bit define that shoreline. I mean, just slightly, possibly, and then maybe a few trees over there. I mean, some abstract green shapes over there, and maybe, you know, something to indicate that that's water. Maybe you'd have to use something as identifiable as something more blue, but still in your tonality and a harmony of the painting, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't do too much in this. I liked it a lot. Okay. Now this painting, this is another painting, sort of similar to Sue's. This is Yelena's. Here we have the photograph. This is what she was looking at. And here we have the painting. Now, without looking at the photograph, I'm walking into a museum and I'm looking at this painting. I'm thinking I'm looking at a Monet. You know, I mean, you know, stick a couple $1 million price tag on this painting, and I'm sure it would sell. So this beautiful. It's a beautiful impressionistic painting. It's just it just makes me happy. You know, it's fun to look at. All the textures. I mean, when you look at this painting, there's a lot in it. You know, like all this texture is all built up. And I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely guilty of this. When I walk into a museum or an art show or a gallery, I don't take enough time really, I think, and look at paintings. You know, I think I heard someplace that the average person looks at a painting 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I mean, I walk through a museum so fast sometimes. I need to take more time and look. And I need to think, what is the artist trying to say? What did the artist see? What was the artist looking at? What did the artist come up with? You know, what was their reason for coming up with it? And these are all questions to ask and can influence us as artists. And so this is just wonderful work, you know. There's a lot of beauty in there. Beautiful. Okay, House of Seven Gables. I didn't count all the gables. I'll take your word for it. Really interesting painting. This was the reference photo. I'm sure she was looking at the whole house. She chose to focus on the roof line, which is a very nice combination of shapes and abstract shapes and design, and makes a really interesting painting. Something you guys should try sometime. You don't always have to paint the whole building, just a part of it. So the hero of this painting is the gargoyle, obviously. And she did a really good job of rendering that out. The only thing I would say about this painting is I'd like to see more, like you have a nice temperature shift going on right here from cool to warm. I just feel the roof is too cool. It's a warm day. It's the color of the material might influence the temperature of the local color a little bit. I think if we can warm up the roof a little bit, and these lentils here, these can be warmed up too. And I'm kind of like taking that from the photograph. You see how they're a little warmer, and this roof is, you know, this is pretty warm. This is warm. That's cool, cool, cool. Lighter, but warmer, more yellow. And I would play around with some glazes maybe. Once the painting dries, maybe try glazing, or take some saran wrap or plastic and put it over and try some color notes. You could play around with that. But
what do you mean by that?
And also here, like this could be warmer. It just seems this is very blue with a lot of white. Also, watch your strokes. It looks like you took a brush and went straight down there. Took a brush, went straight down there. Take a palette knife and go, here, and then maybe put a stroke that way, then break it up the other way, and then even here, you stroke this way, you stroke this way, but break it up sometimes a little bit too. Try to keep it interesting. Same thing here. You stroke straight down. Try bringing some of those strokes. So you got a lot of these long directional strokes. You know, try coming opposite. If you get something that's going this way, bring your strokes this way, even with a palette knife or something, you know. But nice job on the drawing, and good job, Pat.
Thank you.
Yep, very. Okay, this painting is, there's the photograph, and this is a perfect example of Lynette, a great little painting. She went out there. It doesn't have to be, you know, a bridge tower on a bridge, or something like so incredibly complicated. It can be something as simple and beautiful and natural as the bottom of a tree with the shadows. And that's what she talked about in her painting. It was about the tree and the shadows. Trees are painted beautiful. I like the background. I get the feeling, the sense of the pond. I'm feeling the progression going back into space. I feel the harder edges in the front. I mean, this is a good painting, you know. I feel like the trunks are going around. There's form. I feel the sunlight hitting this. I feel this is the lighter side. This is cooler. Maybe it's getting some reflected light. Don't forget, lights are going to be bouncing up from all over the place. And then the shadows. My only thing, I have just one comment on this. I think these shadows are too hard, too dark. And like these shadows in here, really nice, a little dark. When the shadow comes off an object, the cast shadow, it's going to be darker at the base of the object. And as it goes out further and further, it gets lighter and lighter and more airy. So a little more air in the shadows. But other than that, nice little painting. Okay, and I think this is the last one. Okay, Deborah, nice little painting. So when I first looked at this painting, I go, man, I know that scene. That's Tucson, Arizona. Then I looked at your comment, and I think it's Garfield Park, and that must be in their desert garden there. So I spent a lot of time out west over the years, and I've seen many scenes like this, you know, and it's a beautiful painting. It's rendered out beautifully. The colors are great. I like the way you cropped it. I'm getting the sense. I mean, I know what you're saying to me with this painting. I mean, it's about, you know, desert and nature, you know, and the cactuses. I mean, it's you know, sometimes we paint a painting and it's more literal. You know, it's not as it's pretty much telling us, you know, what it is. And I think in this painting, and not that one is better than the other, there's different. I paint paintings that it's very obvious what it is, and I paint paintings that hopefully you have to think about it a little bit more. But I get the kind of day it is. It's a sunny day. You know, the cactuses are happy. It's a happy painting. It's a positive painting. It's well rendered. So yeah, great job. So I think we covered them all, Mary, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So anybody, if you have questions, Errol, while you were talking, I looked up the average time a person looks at a painting. In one study said 15 to 30 seconds. Yeah. Another one said 27.2 seconds. And at MoMA in New York, or at the Met New York, it was, no, I'm sorry, it was MoMA, it was 17 seconds.
Well, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the average amount of time people look at art. I'm casting any judgments here, but people looking at a representational painting as opposed to like a, you know, a Jackson Pollock or a Wolf Kahn or something like that. You know?
Especially when you're around many, many people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know. But I mean, everybody, you know, listen, I'm not saying anything about any kind of art. I mean, I know what I like, you know, and I think all of us as artists, I think, and as appreciators of art, I know my taste has changed over the years, you know, and I mean, I've gone up and down and all around, you know. But I would say to everybody, find artists that you admire. And here, I'm going to get, let's see, where am I here? I'm going to stop sharing, right?
That'd be great. Also, we do have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead, shoot.
So one is just, can you talk about brushstrokes? You've mentioned them a bit today.
Okay, brushstrokes. Let me take a cup of coffee here. I'm not sure what they mean by that, you know. I can talk about direction of brush strokes. That sometimes people will, do you want to highlight me? Am I highlighted?
No, but I can highlight you.
So when you're taking your brush and you're painting something like that is long and narrow, like that shape. A lot of people will just kind of like go along, you know, with their brush stroke going that way. You can bring your strokes down against the form. So if you got something rectangular, go the opposite way. And then maybe go back and then go this way again. And then don't all have your brush strokes going in the same direction when you're painting trees. Have them going randomly different directions. Nature is very random. And depending upon what you're painting, especially in nature, is very random. You don't want everything going the same way. That's, you can read Robert Henry, The Art Spirit. If you don't have that book, I'd recommend buying it. It's a small book. He's a great artist. Maybe you've seen his paintings. He taught at the Art Students League in the late 19th century. And he wrote a book called The Art Spirit. And it's all these little notes of him teaching from his classes and his critiques of people's paintings. He wrote like 5 or 6 pages on just brush strokes. So I would go ahead and read that if you want to really know more about brush strokes.
So
Okay.
another question, thank you. Another question is, in one of the paintings, you said that you invented shadows. How do you know where to place an invented shadow? It works
Right.
for you because you have expertise in doing that.
Right. Well, I would say with shadows, it's based upon your composition and how you want to break up the space. And if you want to use it, if you have a big space and you're painting, say, a cityscape, and you got all this empty space and there's nothing there, then you might want to like take and think that there's like something casting a shadow into and onto that space that's consistent with the rest of the painting. In other words, if the light is coming from the left, don't have the shadow coming from the right. So have it coming from the direction that makes sense, and to help your composition. And you can use it for breaking up space, creating another shape of the big light areas, and just play around with it. You know, as painters, nothing is too precious to destroy. And don't ever think, or I don't want to say don'ts because there shouldn't be any don'ts, but I try not to think anything is ever too precious that I can't scrape through it or destroy it. I was just doing a painting yesterday and I was thinking that it's getting too static, and I just scraped through it. I mean, lightly, and I didn't take a lot of it off, and then I built it up again. So you can scrape off, build up, scrape off, build up. Same thing with shadows. Put it in, see if you like it. If you don't like it, take it out. Now I know it's a little harder in watercolor probably because I'm not a watercolorist, so maybe in certain mediums. So here I'm talking about oil paint, which is more forgiving. But you can play around with shadows, and you know, shadows kind of lead the eye. You know, David LaFell, who I took workshops from when he was teaching in Chicago, he used to have a concept. One of his main concepts is the light coming across a still life, the light moving across, coming from the dark, getting lighter, 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 lighter. Boom, there's the focal point, getting narrower, narrower, dimmer, 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 kind of like a stage lit type of thing. So he created more shadows on that side of the painting to make this center part more, you know, more important. So that's kind of like how I use shadows. And, you know, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. You just got to put it in and play with it, you know, and maybe, yeah. And it'll just be another tool in your toolbox.
Thank you. There's an interesting thought here, question here from Fabiola, actually, that just asks, how is this summer's paintings different from other years?
Mine, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, for me, as you guys know, I started plein air painting in 2006. So I've been painting plein air a lot of years. It seems I'm painting less plein air as time goes on, But plein air is so darn important to my development as an artist. Whatever level I'm at, I wouldn't be there without plein air. It is so important. And painting the figure or painting portraits, but for sure plein air. And from other years, I've just, I seem to have, well, first of all, I can paint them faster. Speed isn't the goal by any means, but I'm able to paint faster because I've painted more paintings. So it's the 10,000 hour thing, you know? And, you know, start off slow, only work as fast as you can work accurately. I don't care if you take 20 hours to paint a painting. You know, now I paint a plein air painting usually in a couple hours. And I seem to have lately a little more success. I end up with more paintings that I like that I don't scrape off or paint over. Believe me, I have plenty of failures, tons, and but less. So I just keep thinking about composition. I keep thinking about what's important. I'm playing more with emphasizing certain parts of the painting, really trying to like build up those certain areas and let everything else be sacrificed. You know, even if I have a group of, if I'm doing a cityscape and I have a whole bunch of people on the street, but I want to just focus one part of that group of people, I'll take the other part and blur them all out. You know, I don't need to render out every single little piece of the painting. I want the painting to be, you know, my feeling about the, it's not a photograph. It's not recording every detail. It's recording how I feel about the subject. And I do that through color, edges, paint application.
Great,
you know,
thank you.
thickness of paint, some areas thick, some areas thin.
Good. Excellent. So a couple other little questions here, not little questions, but questions. One
Sure.
person is asking, are you going to be teaching, and how about your, when are you going to do your plein air studio again?
Oh, the Zoom thing, yeah. Yeah, I haven't done that for a while. I'll have to do that again. I don't have anything on schedule, but I don't know. I'll think about it maybe soon. I'm not sure when I'm teaching again. I was supposed to teach in June. Of course, the classes got canceled at the Palette and Chisel. For those of you who don't come to our Zoom sessions, the Palette's opening up Tuesday or Monday for open studios. There's 6 open studios, and you have to register for them. And then you're assigned to an open studio. Right now, they're all filled. I think there's a waiting list, so you gotta apply. But there's no classes. In phase 4 of the COVID phase 4, they're supposed to. They're thinking about opening up for classes and workshops. I don't know if they will. I don't anticipate I'll be teaching till next year. I don't think, it'll probably be next year sometime.
Okay. So I have another question here. I have trouble with vertical paintings in standard format size. They seem too skinny. Do you have any ideas?
That's funny. Don't mean to laugh. They seem too skinny. Standard format paintings. Well, I mean, it all depends upon what you want to paint and how you're going to crop your image. What you need, what that person needs to do beforehand is use a viewfinder. I assume you all know what a viewfinder is. And, you know, you can either make it yourself or make it on a piece of cardboard. You can buy the plastic ones. And you want to like maybe set your viewfinder to a vertical view into the same proportions as your painting, as your support. And then it won't be too skinny. It'll be because your intention and your goal was to paint a vertical painting. Now, some paintings lend themselves more to vertical formats. Some lend themselves better to horizontal formats. It just depends. And if you want to do something that's going to show the height, you know, of the building or something like that, of the city or the Empire State Building, maybe you want a vertical format, you know. So that's about all I can say about that. It's just be aware of, and maybe do thumbnail sketches, and you'll have to, they're not too skinny if they're not too skinny. I mean, it's not too skinny if it's not too skinny in your, you know, the way you viewed it through your viewfinder. It's just right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how do you know what color to glaze? How do you decide?
Okay, so glazing, you want to use first of all, when you glaze, goes for oil painting. I guess you can glaze in watercolor too, I'm not sure, but I'm speaking strictly oil painting here. You want your painting to be fully dry. Touch it. If you have any stickiness or any paint comes off on your hand, and you don't want to glaze it. So it's got to be fully, totally dry. Then you want to glaze it with transparent colors. You all know what transparent colors is, I assume. And then you want to use usually a soft brush, and you want to use some type of medium. You can just use linseed oil or stand oil linseed oil mix, or whatever medium you use. You could also use a liquid or something like that, or Neil McGill. There's a whole bunch of things you can use. And then you can either glaze over the whole painting to give the whole painting a different tonality. If you'd like it a little more green, glaze it over all green. Or if you want to just glaze a part of the painting, let's say you wanted to just glaze, you wanted to make the shadow darker, for instance, and warmer. Then you'd mix up maybe a little transparent red oxide, maybe ultramarine blue or something. Really thin, super thin, and it's just like a piece of glass, a piece of colored glass over that part of the painting. And what I would suggest is take some old paintings, something you really don't care too much about, or maybe you want to play around with, make sure they're dry, and then try doing some glazing on it. Maybe make up different glazes, make up different colors, and see the effects you get, and yeah, it can be really nice. It can pull a painting together too. It can harmonize a whole painting that's out of harmony if you glaze the whole thing.
Thank you. So another question from about your viaduct painting.
Yeah.
It says, I love the almost monochromatic color scheme. I feel
Right.
like I'm using way too many colors and want a more controlled or muted palette. Any advice?
Yeah, well, I'm more of a tonalist, and there's tonalists and there's colorists. People use more color. So again, I would suggest if you want to try doing something in a more muted palette, then use a more muted palette, and limit yourself. Take the bright colors off your palette. Try a Zorn palette, for instance. If you all know what the Zorn palette is, it's black is going to be your blue, yellow ochre is going to be your yellow, and cad red medium is going to be your red, and white. Those 4 colors, that's it. You got to mix all your colors out of that. I guarantee you won't have a colorful painting after that, because it'll be colorful, but it'll be more muted. Or you could try doing a monochromatic painting. Now, take like a great monochromatic painting is take raw umber and just make 3 values to a monochromatic. When you paint the city and you look at the city, next time you guys go out, and those of you who live in the city, it's gray. It's gray and it's gray. I mean, I went out to Tucson, Arizona and painted in the barrios out there, and they got blue houses and pink houses and yellow. I mean, it was an explosion of color. It made me uncomfortable because I'm not used to painting those colors. When I go out west, I have a hard time getting adjusted to it because I'm so used to painting in grays. Now, that being said, it's up to you as an artist. Maybe you want to express the city in vibrant colors. I don't know. I mean, it depends what you want to say. But I try to be sort of true to what I'm seeing in person. So those colors that you're seeing in that painting were pretty close to what I actually saw. And I try to mix those colors accurately. And also, you guys, it's very important this is going off the track a little bit, that when you're painting and you get one area, you got to get one area right, value and color-wise, and use that to key all your other colors off of, so super important, temperature-wise and color-wise. So it harmonizes.
I'd like to add one thing that I realized, and it actually came out of writing, and that was we were asked in one writing group to create a lexicon of a scene. So as you're about to write it, it's very interesting. And I was taking the class actually out in Taos, New Mexico. And to write a scene and describe everything in the scene in Taos, New Mexico, the words I use to describe green in the ground, plants, the trees, everything else is very different from how I use to describe the greens here. And I found that that's actually the idea of lexicon, and it's kind of goes in tandem with what you've talked about, what Steve's talked about writing some of the notes about, looking at the scene. To really, so that if you were in the barrios, that color of the walls or whatever else, this color of the cement will have a whole different, but that sense of lexicon of place really has made a difference in how I think anyway about color.
That's great.
So
yeah. Well, I think also, we are observational painters as plein air painters. By that, I mean, we're going out and observing what's in front of us and painting it. Now, we're going to paint it a lot of different ways. Not everybody, I mean, when I give my workshops in the past, I mean, I'll have 10 or 11 painters, and it's just amazing how people can paint in the same scene and they all look different, which is good. That's what we want. We don't want to be formula painters where we're all going to be, all our paintings are going to look alike, we want to paint like ourselves. A lot of people over the years have said to me, like, how did you get your style? Why, I always tell my students, I say, style is going to find you. The way you paint, it's going to be, how when we're kids, at least when I was a kid, I was trying to figure out who I was, who I wanted to emulate, I was a big baseball fan. I wanted to be like Mickey Mantle, the New York Yankees. And, I took a little bit from that person, my family, I kind of like threw it in the pot, and I kind of like came out with me, And I think that's how it is with painters, I think it's very important for us to look at other artists' work and to have people that we really like, say, wow, I really want to paint like that guy, And not that you want to paint exactly like that guy, but, I think we all I don't think there's an artist around that doesn't get inspired. Van Gogh had paintings by, or not probably actual paintings, but he had prints of Velázquez hanging on his walls. If you read artist biographies, Sargent had Velázquez hanging on his walls. So maybe copy some of those paintings, some of the master paintings that you like. And maybe do them quickly just to get a sense of what they were thinking, and look at them and study them, and then work on your weaknesses. Very important that we work on our weaknesses. Painting takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and we're all on the same path, and we can all go to the same place, and our paintings can keep getting better and better. But it's just really how hard we want to work. And that isn't coming from me, that's coming from Scott. Scott told me that years ago, and so it's just, it doesn't happen by itself, it just takes a lot of time. And I think coming on these things, and we have, Nancy and Steve and, Joe and all these artists, I mean, this is the Plein Air Painters for Chicago. This is so great, that they share their information so freely with everybody, their knowledge, Well,
Errol, thank you so much for this wonderful session. You've been
this has been great.
Extremely helpful, and we're right at 11 o'clock, so it's time for us to quit.
Okay, well, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, Errol. Thanks so much.
Okay, see you all. Have a great day.